Welcome to Cradle and All, a podcast hosted by sisters Renita and Christine to educate, inspire, and connect with other mothers. Every other week, listen as we discuss topics related to pregnancy, raising children, and balancing motherhood with other aspects of womanhood. Whether you're relaxing, juggling tasks, or even breast pumping, join us as we figure it out together.
Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Cradle and All. Hey, Renita.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
How's it going?
Welcome back. It's been good. It was a really good weekend. I am coming off the heels of a conference where it's a medical conference, but it's all about women empowerment, women in medicine and in business in different ways. And so I just feel empowered. I feel like a boss mom.
Yeah. I love going to conferences. They're so rejuvenating and you feel connected to people. You learn a lot. I always wish I could bottle that energy up and like carry it throughout the rest of the year.
I know. I do feel so good. I feel like I could do anything. And then I came home. I still feel like I can do anything, but then it was like, whoa, back to reality. The kids were wilding. It was so good to see them.
Yeah.
You watched the kids for one of the days that I was gone. How was that?
It was good. It made me think I need to watch them more because they were so sweet and easygoing and they were just so fun. Like, actually, I got to relax. They just play with each other. And I just like, I could lay down on the couch because they don't want to play with me. They want to play with each other. So
it's so funny you say that. I feel like when they are with each other, the same age kids, like Russell and Dakota, Jackson and Dallas, they play so well together. But sometimes it's harder for Jackson and Russell to play together because they're just different ages and they don't play the same.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it wasn't perfect for Dakota and Russell because they kind of have different styles, like Dakota's kind of more handsy, but they seemed to be less concerned with the adults because there were kids there. So it was really nice. We had a good time together yesterday. They had pizza and played. It was sweet and they slept very well. But this weekend we actually had a really fun time going camping with the kids. And I realized that I've gone camping the same weekend, every date, the same date, 5/5, every 3 years for the past 3 years, which I mean, it's only 3 times, but
wait, every year? For the past three?
No, every 3 years, 2018,
really?
2020.
Okay, got it. Got the math.
Yeah, like every 3 years. Yes.
Interesting. Listen, I am not a
21.
Camping person at all, but it
God.
looked fun. It
was so fun. So
and
I've gone.
The kids.
Yeah, it was. So I've gone while pregnant the other times, each time, and this time was with the kids. I knew there was waiting for the right age to do it, but I'm always looking for fun things to do with them. And now with my nanny agency, I'm learning more about different activities and events around town. And that was one we saw and signed up for and brought them to. And it was really great. I think that it's probably even better for older kids because it was a very late night for them. They started a movie at 8:00, which is already the kids' bedtime.
Oh,
so it was very
movie?
late. It was the Minions, one of the Minions movies.
Oh, that's cute.
But it was fun. It was a really great time. When you do things with the kids, though, it's always more stress on the parents, that is kind of what it was. Like when they went to bed, we finally like, oh, okay, let's relax. But then we were all so tired. So we went to bed soon after.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say the nanny agency is helping you to figure out ways to entertain the kids because, I mean, definitely more so when they get older. For me, I felt like I had to find new ways and just learning how they have different styles of entertaining. So that really feeds in nicely to what we're going to talk about today.
It does. Yeah. So today we're talking all about entertaining our kids. What do we do with them when they're with us primarily, which is primarily on the weekends, but even some weekdays or holidays. We're talking about how we entertain them indoors, outdoors, both in our own dwelling space, but also in public spaces. So let's just dive in. I know one thing I want to start off by recognizing is that at different ages and stages, there's different ways to entertain the kids. So as I was thinking about this, I thought about how when the kids are infants and when they're in the early toddler ages, there are a lot of different things that you do to engage and entertain them compared to the ages our kids are now. Don't you agree?
That's so true. And then the other thing about it is very similar at the ages and stages, meaning that when you have a kid who is less than 6 months, you're talking tummy time. There's very small, limited kind of toys that you're doing with your child. By the time you've got a 3-year-old, there's a wide range of toys. They have show preferences. It's just so different, and it's not so structured in that way or
Right.
similar to what every other child is doing.
Yeah. And you also have to do what the kids enjoy. I'm always a proponent of that is what does your kid like? I know for my kids, I see that a lot when our kids are together. Like when our kids were together just yesterday, I could see their preference. Our eldest kids like to do pretend play. They were doing a lot of pretend, imaginative play. The younger ones Russell seemed to enjoy playing with toys. Like that could entertain him. And also he liked to mimic what the older ones were doing, whereas Dakota seemed to be more engaged by the adults. So even though you have tons of toys and ideas, you still have to consider your kid's interest.
Yeah, that's really true.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different depending on, who they're around. I'm sure that part of the reason why they like the kind of things they like is because Bryson and I exposed them to certain things.
Yeah. I remember with Dallas, what I was going to say is that having multiple kids changes the dynamics as well. And I sometimes feel guilty about this I think about when Dallas was the only child, how I used to make time every day when I would pick him up early from school, like around 4:00, and then come home, play with him for about an hour, 4 to 5, literally sit on the floor with him and play with his toys, and then start cooking dinner. And it was very intentional. I was like, I want to see him play. I want him to enjoy these toys. I want to engage with him. We'd read books. We'd have fun together. And then I would be like, all right, now let's get down to business. Well, let me get down to business and cook dinner. And so I started to feel guilty. I was like, I don't have that one. I feel like I'm not as one-on-one, like as engaged with the kids as far as toys go and like sitting down and playing, because the more kids you have, the more busy you are. Now it's like, okay, we got to go here. We got to cook dinner. Got to pick this up. Got to do this.
That's really interesting that you say that. I get off pretty much the same time, so I don't have that extra hour or so, but I find that I am that time between right after dinner and bedtime, I'm like turning my phone off. I'm on the floor playing with them, interacting with them at that time. But the thing that's different for me is like, I feel like I get to be more one-on-one with Jackson than I did with Russell, because it's like me, Jackson, and Russell always. It's never just me and Russell. So I'm like, I don't have that one-on-one specifically with my second born.
Yeah, I know. That is very true. And that's one bit of advice that folks gave me when I was pregnant with Dakota. They said, make sure you make time to have one-on-one time with your eldest, because they'll still crave that. And I don't know if I've done that necessarily so much, but that is some advice that someone told me of like, hey, you need to make sure that you make time for that, because it can all just become a group. Everything can become a group activity. Yeah. Everything's a group now. So,
let's talk a little bit about what you do when you're home. Like you said, when you come home from work, before cooking, after cooking, how do you entertain your kids in the house? I feel like that's a big bulk of how I entertain my kids is in our house. I'm a homebody. We like to do things around the house. So what kind of stuff do you do?
And during the weekdays, it is a lot of indoor things because we're at home. And also we're in a transient position right now. We're getting ready to move. When I felt most stable, when we had a house, we were like, had more space. I always, especially when it was warmer, one thing I did like to do consistently, and I did this a lot when Dallas was a toddler, when we lived in Mableton, we would go on walks after dinner. We had after dinner walks. That was something outdoors. I think kids, adults, we all need to be outside. So outdoors is something that I'm a huge proponent of. I don't do it as often right now, but walking outside, going outside and doing something, the kids always get a kick out of it. They're always eager and ready to go. And I'm usually eager and ready to go too, because I work in a job that requires me to sit down all day, be inside. So I'm ready to get outside too. But so when we can do that, we love to just go on a walk, go walk to the park, go in their little cars or other vehicles and just get outside just for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, do something outdoors. That's the goal. But typically we do have a play area, and that's where they'll go to while dinner's being cooked. And we could talk more about what's in that play area, but I think it's also important to have a designated space just for play, just for them, and creating a space where they know they can go get messy, get the toys wherever they want it to be all over the room. So for me, it's that balance of like outdoor play and then that play space too.
I really like that outdoor play. Interestingly, we do it a little bit different. I think, we do go outside, but we have a yard space that we had in our old house that we can go out and play, whether it's the front yard or the backyard. And we have a basketball hoop and stuff like that. We keep several of the kids' outdoor toys in the garage so that we can just take it out there. But we actually don't do like the walks probably like we should. But we also have this covered patio that we make an extension of their play area. So they're outside, but in a covered space where they can play with their little trampoline that they have there, their cars and stuff like that. Also, that little designated toy area is so smart, but I feel like for us, it never works out. Like we have a play area it could be a guest room, but we just made it an empty space for them to have every toy that they seem to want. They just seem to have more and more toys. I don't know how, but no matter what, they want to be anywhere but the playroom. They'll go in there, grab toys, bring them out. But if I'm like, go in there, it's your heart's desire, go play. They're like, no, we don't want to. I'm like, this makes no sense. And then I realize it's because they want to be
with you.
Us.
Yes. They want to be with their best friends, their favorite people in the world, who's mommy and daddy. That's the thing about playrooms, is that if you're not, at least for my kids, and I'll feel like a lot of kids, if they're not with you at these ages, they want to be with you. And, that is true. It's like we're their favorite person. We're the people they love to be with as much as possible. So when I'm playing with my kids, I feel like the only way they'll really play right now, I'm really working on this with Dakota at least, is independent play, because they will mainly want to play when I'm engaging with them. That goes for coloring, toys, imaginative play. I have started to see a shift though in Dallas, and I really noticed this recently. He's way more independent now. He can play by himself. Have you seen that with Jackson?
Yeah, and Jackson's always been a bit of an independent play person until Russell came along, and he wants my attention, or he wants to play with his brother. Like tonight, this was one of the few nights that I was like, I'm exhausted. I just came from out of town. I just want to kind of lay down. And I put the toys out in the room that I was in so that they could play. But instead, all they did was literally lay on top of me and go in my purse and make believe the things that were in my purse. I was like, this is what y'all want to play with?
Yes.
But the interesting thing is that they play together really well and do independent play for Jackson. So like when they were doing this make-believe thing with the things in the purse, they were doing it together. Or there was a part of the night tonight where they were playing with one of Jackson's toys, which is like a toolbox. And they were each taking turns playing with the tools and pretending that they were fixing Nala, the dog. And they were really doing that together. Now, of course, they also fight over toys. So that's a whole other thing.
Yes, it is a lot of fighting. But I also find that because they do want to play with me so much, it does help when I give them some prompts or directions. So I'm like, oh, can you find all the color monster? Where's the color blue? And they go off and find the color blue. Or just giving them directions like, oh, there's just playing with them without actually playing with them.
Yes,
I might be cooking dinner, but I'm telling them to do something where it seems like I'm playing, but really I'm just keeping them occupied while I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah. Now there are some specific toys in our arsenal that I think the kids do really great at independent play with. One of them is books. So those little board books that we have read over and over again to Russell that he basically has memorized, even though he can't read. I love giving those to him because he will just read to himself. Even though he can't read, he just recognizes the pages and is entertaining himself. So Brown Bear, is one of his favorite books. And so that's a book I can just give him and he just says it to himself. Or Jackson is learning to read. So we have these early education, kindergarten, pre-kindergarten staged books that I'll be like, hey buddy, do you want to like read to me? And he will be next to me and just start reading. And that's a great way for him, for both of them to do some independent plays with books in our house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I keep books all over the house. Like I gift books like they're candy because because I just love literacy. Like I studied that in school and I just find so much value in reading children's books to kids. But also something I saw online recently was that you should use books as gifts. Like don't just gift them with or bribe them with, oh, you'll get a piece of candy or food, but why not a book? Like what this page was saying was like put books everywhere in the car, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, all over your home. And even if they are receiving a reward, give them a book. Like it should be something that they are excited about, they look forward to, just so that they become lovers of literature and reading. But so we do that. There's books, we keep like a box of books in that play area that they can always go into. And like when we dump things out, I'm like, oh, here's this book. And also each of their rooms has books, and we keep them in a level where, at least for Dallas, where he can reach them and get them out on his own to read them. So yeah, I think books are a big part of our entertainment because I mean, there's so many different worlds you can explore with books and reading.
So true. Also coloring books at our
Mm-hmm.
house. So I keep coloring books in all crevices of the house. I feel like there's a little storage area in my bedroom. If the kids ever come in, I'm like, oh, let's get the coloring books. Let's get the crayons on every level of the house in certain rooms that I know that they're going to frequent, because it's just easy for them to just draw their little heart's desire. Jackson is at a stage that he really is trying to mirror what he sees in the world, whether it be flowers or a house. And he's so excited to make these pictures that come to life. And he's constantly practicing writing, and he's always writing about his brother. Everything's about his brother. Then Russell just watches him and just tries to just scribble and do the same thing. So I love having coloring books everywhere, and I just these big poster boards that they can just write all over. But I have to make sure for us, like we cannot have markers around. It has to be color pencils, because I've learned the hard way.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Yes. That's why I don't like coloring books. I
really,
until we moved into this house, we never had crayons accessible to the kids. And I regret ever putting them out. We
You're
actually,
kidding.
no, I'm going back to that when we move, because they're just, no, it just, they write on the wall when they get the chance, or it's somewhere it doesn't need to be. So actually there is a brand I do use. Crayola has this invisible marker in crayon. That's the only brand I kept out before we moved, because when they draw on the walls and stuff, it doesn't show up, and you have to use special paper, but that's it.
And that's interesting. But I think that's part of the fact that they can easily access the paper. It's like, oh, we're in a room. Where's the paper? They're always together. I feel like they just know that that's the thing that they need to write on. But the thing that I'm having trouble with, that it's not really trouble, but like I don't know how to contain it, is stickers. We also do a lot of stickers in our house, and it's a love-hate relationship I have with stickers, because it entertains them. They're quiet. They go in their little corner. But like literally I came home from the trip this weekend and stickers were all over the wall in our mudroom. And I was like, what happened here? So like there will be stickers in every crevice, and that's what they put all over the walls. Luckily they can just come off for the most part, but I don't know how to get them to contain the stickers. They're always everywhere.
One thing I do when they have stickers was use chart paper. So you know that sticky chart paper that it's like a huge Post-it note essentially. I'll put that up on the wall and let them draw on that and put stickers on it. Or I might even do some educational activities with it where I have certain color circles and I ask them to put a certain color sticker in that circle or a certain color shape. So many times another way to entertain them is just by using basic things that we have, basic crafts that we have, pom-poms, what are they, tongue depressors, stickers, and making some type of activity with those items.
Yeah. I remember when the pandemic first started and the kids, well, at the time it was just Jackson. He was 2. He had just turned 2 in the beginning of March, end of March, excuse me. And I was like, okay, he's out of preschool for like a few months. How am I going to entertain him? So I literally was looking at everything online, and I had done several hands-on things like with those pom-poms and help him to create shapes himself. I did a sensory tub where he would put his hands in sand and help to separate out the colors of the sand. And we would go outside and do a sensory tub of water, and you would pour the water into these different containers. I mean, this lasted like the first week and a week or two. And I was like, gosh, it's hard to be a teacher or like a hands-on person in this way. I ran out of ideas, but I remember doing some of that fun stuff.
Do you still do that stuff with him?
I mean, interestingly, not as thoughtfully organized where I'm like, okay, today's activity is going to be this. But sometimes when I want to do something creative, I'm like, oh, what's a fun way to like get them involved in something? So like right now, Russell's into flowers and outside and dirt. So the other day we went outside and I put a bunch of dirt in a pot, and then we started putting little flowers into it to make our own little garden, quote unquote. So it's like things that I'm like, how are some easy ways to entertain them? But it's not always like so planned. It's just kind of off the cuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I actually really want to start a food garden for our family, because I was
we
like, that'll be a really good way to entertain them outside.
Well, I gave Jackson that terrarium, so you should pull it out and do something.
Yeah,
do it
on
with
the
him.
list of things to do. Actually, I think this weekend we're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the activities, but I also want to go back and kind of wrap up the toy thing we were talking about, because one part of indoor play does revolve around toys and crafts. And we were just talking about that. So with toys, though, one thing that we do in our playroom is rotate toys, because one thing I found is that when they're just out all the time, they lose interest in them if they see the same toys every day. And I know there's a bunch of things on social media about this, and this probably isn't news to anybody that's listening to this. But in our home, we do have cubbies where the toys are. And so I do make a point to rotate the toys out, move them around, and also show fewer toys in the cubbies and have a lot of them in containers that they can pull out and play with. And I find that does keep it new and fresh. And actually really funny, when Jackson was over here yesterday, he kept asking with every toy, is that new? Is that new? I was like, Jackson, why are you asking if these toys are old or new? Just play with them. But he was so obsessed with, is the toy old? Is it new? I'm like, Dallas, I was like, Jackson, every toy is new. It's all new. Just play. So he was so obsessed with this, like, have I played with this before? Because if so, I don't want to play with it.
Oh my goodness. I try to do the toy rotation thing, but it's kind of harder than I thought it was going to be. And honestly, it's like a blessing and a curse. Like, we have so many toys because we've been gifted so many things that literally I had done some rotating before we moved into our new home, which we've been in for a year now. And then literally just recently I was like, gosh, I forgot to rotate some of these things. And these toys are like over a year old. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like, with the rotating, I just feel like it can be, I need to figure out a system to make it work. Other times I have this great plan of organizing our little toy area, and one day of toy time can mean like a mess of that playroom, and then the organization's off, and then I forget even what toys are in there.
Yes. Well, you're right. I don't have a system for rotating them. But it's just, I mean, really, a lot of the decisions I make with the kids are, oh, it feels like it's time for this. It feels like it's time to rotate the toys. It feels like we should go do this outdoor thing. So after a while, I'm like, oh, they're not really interested in this. And then I'll rotate it. So that's a big part of it. It's like, they're not playing with this right now. They don't seem interested. Let me go grab some other toys and switch it around. That's truly so what the judgment is based on.
Yeah. No, I really think that's a good idea. I'm going to do more of that. I'm also really big about giving toys away after a while. Mm-hmm. Like, I want them to have that moment where you play with them, but then pass them on to others who could use them. Right. So every now and again, I'm like, let's do a clean sweep. Let's get rid of some things. So
we do that with books a lot. As you know, we go to the library probably once a month and get new books because I want them to have that same excitement with the toys as they do for books. So we go there, we get brand new books, we sit in there, they get so excited. Oh my God, books. I read a couple while we're there, then we bring them home. And then it's like, look, now we have all these new books that we can read. Yeah. And we do it again the next month.
Now, what do you do about your kids fighting over toys? Do they fight over toys? I swear my kids just like fight all day long now. Maybe it's an age thing, like 2 and 5, but it's like, he hit me. He took my toy. Blah, blah.
Yeah, of course they fight over toys. I feel like that's a part of it. When it comes to entertaining them, I feel like that's something that's just going to come with the territory. So I don't really have a perfect answer to this because I don't have a go-to solution. Usually it's somebody taking a toy because they see how much fun the other kid's having and they want to have that much fun. Then they get it and then 2 seconds later they don't care anymore. So half the times I try to teach them how to respond when the toy is snatched, because I know it will be. I say, hey, you can say this instead. Say, can I have a turn? Or please share. I try to focus on that instead of the don't take the toy, because I know that will happen. I'm like, hey, Dallas, say this instead. We don't hit or we don't snatch. Say, can I have a turn? And of course, Dakota doesn't, he doesn't seem to really care or understand. So I just then say, okay, take it from Dakota and give it to Dallas. But yeah, I think that's my focus is what can we say? What can you do the right way?
Yeah. I'm constantly like, let's take turns, give your brother a turn, like everyone just going in an order of things is kind of what I try to do with them. Mom's approach is everyone gets the same toy. That's probably why we have so many toys. She buys like 2 of everything.
That's a lot of parents' approach. I had a friend who gave me a couple friends who's given me the same toy for both kids, even though they're different ages, but that was their approach. It's like, well, they're going to probably fight over it anyway. So just get one of each. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's fine, but they still would fight. Now the one kid wants both of them.
Listen, for the toys that we got the toys that we got Russell for his 2nd birthday, Jackson is like the most obsessed with those toys. I'm like, you are almost 3 years older. So you just never know. You can't plan it.
No, you don't. That is so funny.
Yeah. Well, you were saying earlier that like going out the house, being outdoors. So let's talk a little bit about ways that you entertain the kids around the town.
Right. We are very social and active, as I've said in previous episodes. We do like to get out every weekend. We try to get out. There's so many great parks near us. So it's such an easy, quick win to take them to the park. So that's always top of the list. What park can we go to? We're either going to go to this park right here, or there's a park down the street, or there's a park over there. Like just some park that has a playground is always great. We even used to take them to parks and just go on walks with them in their strollers, and we're walking, getting some steps in while they're sitting or on their bikes. So my top go-to outdoor activity is a local park, because they get to run around and play, and usually they go on the swings or whatever. And usually the best parks also have adult beverages too.
Yes, like the park firehouse
nearby. So
I love a park that has a play area, like a open field. Like we like to bring our football, our soccer ball, so we can actually, in addition to being on the swings and stuff like that, just literally throw the ball around, kick the ball around. So I like that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've never done that.
Really? That's what we do the most. You know that park down the street, like on the way to soccer? We used to go to that park all the time before the other one we go to now, because it had that open field.
Oh, wait, we have done that. Yeah. Okay. I see that. Yep. We've done that before. Just go there, go to a soccer field and like kick the ball around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But parks are so great. I mean, I love parks for kids. They're so much fun and easy. It's a quick win. You just bring your snacks, bring your water, and go out there and have a great time.
Yeah.
But other than that,
also some other cute things around, at least the city of Atlanta, that we've done a few times, like the Children's Museum and like things that have entertainment for kids in that regard. I know they have the Center for Puppetry Arts that I've never taken the kids to, but I really want to take them to. Have you ever done those kind of things?
Yeah, of course. My kids had a annual pass to the Children's Museum. Remember?
Oh yeah.
We brought you guys there, but for us, it's more so about like once a weekend, we do want to get out, whether that be something in town or something locally, or even some event that's passing through. It could be a festival that's in town for the weekend, or some show that's in town. We haven't really done shows, but I thought about it. A show that's in town.
Bluey's in town.
Oh yes. There's always like something like that that's like passing through, or a subscription, or what is it called? Not subscription, but a membership downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So we do literally once a weekend, we do try to go out. So that was why I went to the campsite last weekend, or maybe a friend, even a friend's like baby shower, we would consider that getting out. But something social, even going to a friend's house, like going to your house or going to one of our friends' houses who have kids, I would consider that being around town, because the purpose is for the kids to have a good time and for us to get out of our bubble and also engage with other people too.
So this is the component of parenting that stresses me out sometimes, because I'm a person who compares myself to people, and I should not do that. We all have our thing, but I'm always feel like I'm not doing enough when it comes to it, taking the kids out and about. Part of that's because the nature of my job, I work weekends, many weekends, and I am exhausted. I'm out of the house. I don't work a 9 to 5 kind of job. So on the weekends, I like to be home, other than the times that we go to like birthday parties and, we do go to the park and all that other stuff. But I haven't done a lot of like I do not go somewhere every weekend, like the zoo or the aquarium. I definitely don't. So sometimes I'm like, gosh, should I be taking the kids out more? But there's so much that we do and we entertain so hard in the house. So that's when I realized, it's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah. And for me, I don't even view it as something so structured. It could be going to church. I would consider that going out, because the kids are in their church school. That's something. That's a whole to do. We got dressed up. We went. You listened to songs. We maybe stopped and got some ice cream on the way home. That, to me, I would consider that a successful day. Or even if we're grilling, I would consider that an exciting activity. Yeah. It's not normal. We're grilling dinner and we're going to like work together as a family. Those things, for me, I view that as we did something fun and different. So anything that's different and out of the norm, I consider that a different, like an event or an activity, because they're worked up, they're excited about it. And it also is something different for us. We have to plan, we have to coordinate. I would even consider taking the kids to Target or the grocery store. That's something I do all the time with the kids.
That is in there feat at times. That's a feat. Yeah. It's sometimes it's for the kids can be hard to wrangle at times.
I know.
That can be a whole thing.
It can be, but I literally have done it since they were newborns. They like it too. And I also make it fun and educational. It's like we talk about things. And you get to have a different interaction with your kids when you're in a different setting. You learn about them. You see how they view the world. They're so funny and cute. And even their tantrums, like, oh, you're different in this store than you are at the house.
You're really wilding out.
Right. You're a little rambunctious in here.
Yes. But one thing that I have literally been filling my weekends with are like birthday parties. The kids have been going to so many birthday parties recently.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that I feel like it's new. It's really not, but it's because for the age of our kids, we like the pandemic made it so that for like a couple years, people weren't going to things like that. And now I swear every weekend it's another birthday party. So I love it because I get to see them with their friends and see them having a really good time and meet other parents. So, but that has taken up a lot of my weekends recently.
Yes, it has, as well as these activities that the kids are in: soccer, soon to be basketball, soon to be a million other things. Swim. That takes up time too. And for me, that counts, because that's a whole chunk of the morning or time of day gone.
Yeah.
So they're entertained. It's entertaining them.
No, that's true. Now, there are some really cute ways that I do like to entertain kids at home. And it's with like some of the everyday things we do. So like we talked a little bit about their toy room and their activities that we have aligned for them, that we provided them. But there are some things that you can do every day that really means the world to them. For me, it is, and I'm not the biggest cook in the house, but cooking is one of those things. So we have one of those little step up things that they can step up to the counter, and then they'll in the morning, they always help with breakfast on the weekend. So they're like mixing the eggs, stirring whatever needs to be stirred, helping gather all the ingredients. So that's a way that they both really enjoy doing everyday tasks. And the other thing is that they love to help me with something I hate doing the most, which is laundry. So when it's time to put something in the washer or take it out of the dryer, they're like, let me help. And they're like right there, ready to help me with it.
Yep. Yeah, I am surprised you brought up cooking, because I know that you're not the chef in your home.
But I make the same foods every single time. So if I'm going to cook some food on Saturday morning, they already know what it's going to be. They know what their role is.
Yes.
I could use the help.
Yeah, we absolutely include them in cooking, and it's been nice to see Dakota get involved and have his and do it. He's used to watch, and now he's adamant about participating. So we do our muffin Monday where we make our muffins. We actually did it this morning with your kids. We didn't
Oh my
cook it.
gosh.
No, we didn't cook it together.
Oh.
Dontrell made it before they woke up, and they ate muffins though. So we
Oh,
didn't do it yesterday because your kids were here, but we
Mhm.
did still have muffins.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so fun to get them involved with cooking and teach them as you're going through it. And with other
teaching
things,
is key.
Yeah.
Like, teaching. Jackson is now like, he likes to make his bed because he saw us making the bed. And he's like, I want to do this thing. So he thinks it's the best thing in the world. Don't help me. Don't help me. I'm doing it. It's just like,
Oh,
wow.
That's good. I need to teach Dallas that. He is definitely not ready for that. His bed is also kind of weird and hard to make up, but that's great. But no, the teaching part is really the best. It's such a learning opportunity for them and a teaching moment for the adults to show them how to do so many things. With Dakota, we're teaching him fine motor skills of here's how you hold the spoon and dumping it in. He's getting his chance to do that. Even cracking an egg. He cracked an egg the other day. I did not want to let him crack the egg, but Dontrell's like, let him crack it. He just squeezed it, and that was his way of cracking it, squeezing a raw egg, and it just went everywhere. But we just laugh it off. We're like, okay, you know what? You're learning, and we're letting you do it, so it's okay. So everyday tasks like cooking, even setting the table. To kids, that could be entertaining. With Dallas, we do ask him to set the table now. He's put all the plates down. We make sure he has all the little parts, the spoons, the cups, and he tries to make a list in his head like, oh, I need the napkins. Laundry, he does help me with that too. So putting the clothes away, it's like, hand me the clothes and I'll put it on the hanger, and put your underwear away. But those things help them stay a part of it, because like we said, when they're playing by themselves, they really do want to be with you. It's like, well, if you want to be with me so bad, well, you have to come and do what I'm doing. And you may not be fun, but this is what I'm doing, so let's do it together.
And to me, I feel like it helps when you have things on your plate that have to get done, but the kids are like right underneath you. Cause like, for example, everybody knows that for parents between like 5 o'clock and bedtime, it can be kind of chaotic. So if they're going to be right there with you, instead of being like, oh my God, I have to do this and do that, like having them be a part of it can sometimes be fun for everybody.
Right. Sometimes.
Now, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but we have to talk about screen time. It's like a thing that I think every parent, every mom struggles with. And knowing like what's the right amount, how do you make sure that you're not watching too much? I mean, that's definitely something in my house that we try to find a balance with, and we play around with different rules sometimes. And it's just, I know I never feel am I doing the right thing with it. The way we are in our house is that on a weeknight, we don't do screen time. So they don't watch TV. Ideally, there are some nights we might be lax, but most of the time, Monday through Thursday, there's no TV, and all entertainment's without that. And then on the weekends, we're a big movie family. Like Bryson loves movies. He memorizes the words to all these movies. So usually we try to watch a movie that we all can watch together. So like, obviously the Disney movies, Sonic the Hedgehog is a movie that Jackson's into right now, and Spider-Man, and Bryson has watched those with them. But we'll try to do like a movie a weekend, maybe sometimes 2 movies a weekend where we all watch together. Now there's some shows that come up like Mickey Mouse and a couple of things that'll come up that we'll do like Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings at times. Like if we're cooking breakfast and we don't need the kids there, like it'll be a quick like 30 minutes to an hour to like entertain them. But sometimes it's so easy to like realize, wow, time has gone by and they watched more than you thought.
Yeah, same. Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have screen time on the weekends, and even screen time during the week, because Dallas has a tablet. He has only educational games on there, which I think that's why he's so smart, because he's been doing that since he was about 2.5. But that is his screen time during the week. He actually gets about 30 minutes of it every day. That's his little wind down time when we're getting Dakota to bed. They have about an hour apart between their bedtimes. He knows that's his tablet time, and he'll go and play one of his educational games or read books on there, listen to books read to him. I kind of feel guilty every time though, because I feel like, they recommend you shouldn't have screen time before bed. So every time he has it, I'm always like, have a pain in my stomach of like, oh my gosh, this is not right. Maybe that's why he can't go to sleep. So that does happen though during the weekdays. And then on the weekends, we do have screen time, usually in the morning part on a Saturday. And sometimes, well, not even because he has his activities, but there will be about an hour or more of screen time on the weekends because he enjoys it and he's, he likes it. He's old enough, and we do limit it. So the things he watches, we do structure and make sure it's what we feel like he should be watching. When he was younger, he watched a lot of animals. We thought that was educational. He was learning about animals. He loved animals. And then Word Party, like we were very specific. And I was always shocked because when I was talking to my mom friends, they would say, oh, are your kids watching this show on YouTube or that show? I'm like, no, my kid is watching like 2 shows. That's all he knows: Elmo, Word Party, and animals. So I don't feel guilty about the screen time. I know that the American Association of Pediatric Medicine, I think, something like that, AAP, whatever.
American Association of Pediatrics.
Yeah, they recommend that you should not have screen time before the age of 2. And they also recommend the amount of time that your kid over the age of 2 should be watching screens or viewing screens. I don't know what that recommendation is. We probably have exceeded it in my home, but we do it on the weekends. Dakota could care less. He really does not care about screen time.
Yeah, Russell didn't start caring about screen time literally until recently. I mean, and he's 2 now. He's 2.5, but now he recognizes like Mickey Mouse. That's the thing that he will recognize and he gets excited about. But it's not like he's like, I want to watch TV. It's like if it's already there because Jackson was interested in it.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting what you said about the tablet. We initially purchased tablets. I purchased a tablet for Jackson, and I quickly stopped letting him use it because
why?
I felt like it was something that I couldn't control the way I could control a TV screen. And it sounds like you're using games and like educational stuff. But when we got the tablet, I don't know, there was like Disney Plus on there and there was Netflix on there. And so I felt like it's easy to just keep watching. And I was like, he could go from one streaming service to another by himself. I was like, whoa, how'd you, I thought we were watching Sesame Street. Next thing you know, we're watching Spider-Man. Like, how did this happen? So yeah.
No.
So I very quickly was like, yeah, we're not using a tablet anymore. And so it has been a year. In fact, I didn't pull that tablet out until we went on that vacation a little while ago with Mom that I mentioned the last episode or a couple episodes ago.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can't control what he watches on that, but I can control and see what he's watching on a TV screen. No, so maybe if I had done more games and educational stuff, it would have been different. But we
don't have any streaming platforms on there. Not even
I
YouTube.
know what it is. I know what it is. It's because I had given him my iPad. I didn't buy him a kids thing. I was like, oh, kids have tablets now. Like I have this old iPad and they already had those things on it. So that's probably how that
we did that too. We gave him our old mini iPad, but you can set it to kid settings. So before we gave it to him, we cleared all the old apps out, downloaded new apps, and then there's a kid setting where they can't even download new apps. They have to have parental controls.
Well, I did put parental controls on Netflix and Disney, but
even for the iPad itself, there are parental controls for things they can't do. You should.
So, yeah, I feel more comfortable with him in the room where I can see him, where I can see what's going on when we watch TV. And I feel like I know everything that he's going to watch. Like, I don't know. I just feel more comfortable that way. But, screen time's tricky. It's about doing what you think is the right thing for you and your family. Like like I said, we love movies. That's a big thing about Bryson, our relationship. And now we can get the kids involved with that too. So that's kind of where our screen time lies.
And I feel less guilty when it's educational. So movies and stuff like that, I'm not really showing movies. Well, like the last thing we watched on TV was YouTube, learning about the digestive system, because he's been really interested in that, or he's been asking about planes, or like, oh, let's look at planes, or different activities. We're talking about basketball, tennis, gymnastics. Like, let's watch these kids on YouTube do these different activities and tell me which one you're interested in.
Yeah.
So I like technology, but I really only use it for educational purposes. Even with Dakota, I have some apps on my phone. As you know, I remember when I would be around Jackson, I have my phone and I have games on there for the kids, like animal sounds. What are these animals? Letters. So that's why I like technology for educational purposes, not necessarily for movies. Because my kids, I'm not into movies. And so, of course, your kids are going to do what you kind of lead them to.
Yeah.
So my kids aren't interested in movies either.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to all of these things, just doing what feels right to you. I mean, honestly, with any form of entertainment, screen time. I mean, some days, it's just one of those days where everyone just wants to be left alone. And that's where screen time may come in for some people.
Yes.
And other days you want to be rolling around on the floor with your kids. And that's where that can come in. So I just feel like it's all about what you feel is right. And at the end of the day, as the parent, you can just follow your gut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's time now for Rapid Fire, where we answer questions related to the topic of the day. So first question is related to our favorite place to take our kids outside of the house. Do you have a favorite place where you take them?
I would say the park that's next door to soccer. So there's 2 parks by our home, but the park that I like the most is similar to like your standard everyday park. It has swings, it has monkey bars, has slides. I like that it's a place that I can just see everything. It's not too big and it's not too busy. Mm-hmm. So that's probably my favorite place.
My favorite place it's between the park that's by our house, the one that it's like a huge kids park that has many different kids play areas and open fields and food for the adults and a lot of things there. I like it because it's a one-stop shop. Go play, then we can go eat dinner, and there's so much fun. They never grow tired of that place, which is why I also have a tie between the Children's Museum for the same reason, because they also have so many rotating activities and also stationary activities. And I love seeing what my kids get into when we go there.
See, that part that you just mentioned, it stresses me out. It's just like so busy. So I feel like I'm constantly like, where'd the kids go? Where'd the kids go? But it's a nice park though. But I mean, it's a very nice park.
Yeah.
But it's just so busy. I want something a little bit more quiet.
So do you have a favorite outdoor activity that you do with the kids?
So for me, and I think because we're like a very sportsy family, which is how did I even say that aloud? I am not sportsy. I mean, I guess if I'm saying the word sportsy, then I'm not into sports, but Bryson and the boys, they love sports and playing football and basketball. So one of my favorite things that we do is after dinner, sometimes we'll go on our driveway. They're playing basketball. We're kicking around the soccer ball. Like those are the moments that I love the most with them. I love how much they love sports. I will learn one day.
Well, I love vehicles with the kids. They have so many vehicles that their grandparents have gotten them. We have not played with them as much lately since we're transient, but when we do go outside and we have everything charged up, I love having them either ride their bikes or being pushed in a car, being in one of their vehicles, because we can also get some steps in. We're all moving together and they just seem to have so much fun when they're on their vehicles. They seem very empowered on them.
They do. Yeah.
So what's your favorite indoor activity to do with the kids?
My favorite indoor is definitely coloring. I like to sit down and color with them also. So we all have something that we're coloring and we show each other what we've colored. We get excited about it. I love to hear their explanation. Well, really Jackson's explanation for what he's drawn. So I really do like to see that imagination come out in them.
For indoor activities, I like to do crafty things with them. So I'd say at least twice a month, I do a different craft activity with them, something that I found online. So last month we did this pom-pom activity with tape where they had to tape the pom-poms, put them on and take them off of this blue painter's tape. And then we also had a sensory bin. I have a sensory bin that they played with. And we also do painting. Like we did this painting craft I think we FaceTime you, but it was with So just craft activities. I like to just find something different online and have them do that at the house. Usually it's very quick. It's all the thinking and planning, and then they're done with it in about 30 minutes or less. But I like to be able to add that to my tool chest of ideas that I can pull out later.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Do you prefer, or do you have a preference with your kids of independent play or group play where you all are playing, or the kids, the two boys are playing together?
So when you say independent play, do you mean like them independently, or you mean independent from me?
Both. They would be independent.
I mean, I love when they're independent of me. It gives me a minute to sit down. But I mean, I like my kids too, of course, but it is nice when they're like doing their own thing. But I love it when I see them playing together. Like tonight when they were playing in my purse and acting crazy, I just thought it was so cute the way that they had their imaginations going together and like had their own little brother like moment.
Yeah.
So I really love when they do that independently of me.
Right. I hope to see more of that, because right now I'm like, you have a brother, go play with him. I want them to play together more. So I love when they do the group play. I'm like, I always try to praise them. You're doing so good. Look at you guys playing so nicely. I do love that. I wish they did more of it. But I don't think I have a preference. I like the independent play too, because I like when they get to use their imagination and be on their own. I feel like they're always relying on other people. So I don't have a preference. I think there's joy in both of them. And I hope to start seeing both of them equally in the house.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite social media page that you go to get inspiration or ideas for things to do with the kids?
Honestly, I go to Pinterest for everything. So when I know it's the weekend coming up and I want to do some fun stuff, that's the first place I'm going to go of how to entertain them. And sometimes you can find some things on social media like Instagram and stuff like that too. But if I have to go one place, it's going to be Pinterest. And I literally search like creative things to do with kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rainy day, how to entertain kids in the rain, or like, stuff like that.
I know. Pinterest is so great for that. Same here. But social media is too. If you follow the right pages, like on my business page, there's so many activities that pop up now because of the nature of the business. And one page that I do go to a lot or share a lot of their activities is Busy Toddler, because they're always doing things with their kids or her kids on there.
Yeah, she is so creative. She's a former kindergarten teacher, I think is what I read. And honestly, I've been going to her page recently about preparing your kids for kindergarten, just knowing that Jackson's going to kindergarten soon. I'm like, wow, this is really, I mean, her page is awesome. So, so good.
Oh, I know. Love it. Do you have a go-to toy for, let's say, for each kid, or is there one toy that both kids absolutely love and will entertain them for minutes?
The kids,
minutes on end.
It depends on what they're going through at the time. So when in doubt, the best way to get them to play together is to have some type of vehicle. So we have like little cars that they can ride around the house or outside, and they just push each other on bikes, and any kind of vehicle or something like that, bikes, they will play very well together. Then independently, Jackson goes through phases of what he's into. So Sonic the Hedgehog is what he's into now. Anything that Sonic the Hedgehog, he loves. Like honestly, the little figurines that I put on his cake, he's been obsessed with for now 2 months. And that's what he plays with. He goes to sleep with it every night. It's crazy. Russell, what is Russell into right now? I don't even, honestly, it's just like, I get confused as to what entertains this child. So it's a grab bag. I'll be like, okay, not this. What about this?
Yeah.
And it could be the most random thing. Like, honestly, if he came into this room right now, it would be this microphone that's in front of me. Like it just never makes any sense, but he gets entertained by the things that you would not expect.
That's so funny. Yeah. Jackson is so, he grabs
clings.
onto things.
Yes.
Yeah. And holds on to them, and he's obsessed with it.
Yes, it's crazy.
And I didn't know that until Dallas starts telling me things. Oh, Jackson did them. Like, oh, Jackson's the reason you keep talking about these things.
Gabby's Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Like he watches this thing called Gabby's Dollhouse. I was like, oh yeah, that's Jackson.
Right. I didn't know. And then he also started talking about Sonic. Now he loves Sonic. Actually, did you see that Sonic outfit I got him? It's like a sweater and pants jumpsuit.
Oh no, I didn't.
Okay.
I need to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he clings. He's obsessive about certain things.
Dallas he had a phase where he loved magnet tiles, which I loved that phase. That was his go-to toy for about a couple months. And to find out the go-to toy, sometimes I ask the teachers, like, hey, what is he into right now? And I asked the teacher once, and oh, magnet tiles. I'm like, okay, great. Bought it, and he loved it. I need to ask Dakota's teacher. So he loved that. He would, and when I pull it out, it's one of those rotating toys now. But when I do pull it back out, he's like, oh, I'm like, what can you make me? And he makes so many creative things. I love those things.
Oh,
and Dakota, yeah, he's like Russell. He really doesn't, he's not attached to anything but me. So maybe I'm his go-to toy.
yeah, basically.
He doesn't have one. Oh, so the last one is toy room decor. Do you have any tips or things that you do in your toy room to make it exciting or keep it organized for the kids?
This is the way I organized and decorated the toy room. I spent days, hours looking up ideas on Pinterest, just the way like how I wanted to decorate my house, because I wanted a place that I would enjoy being in too, and that the kids would want to be in all day long, even though they actually don't. So I made little corners at the time when I initially decorated it where there would be different types of entertainment. So like the we've got like a music corner where a piano and drums and all this stuff are. And then another corner that had drawers you can pull out where the small toys are, and a little corner with like a little trampoline area. Now, eventually things get thrown everywhere and it doesn't really stay in those corners, but I wanted it to kind of feel like there were different areas that the kids could gravitate toward. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said about what is reality and what your expectations are. Yeah.
Well, we have a toy area in our rental right now. And the thing that I love about it is our pictures on the wall. So I have this, you had it too.
I know exactly what you're saying. I used to do this.
That I used to put the kids'
twine. Pictures.
Yeah.
Hanging twine.
My kids will I'll rotate pictures out in this twine that's hanging on the wall with little tiny clothespins. Mm-hmm. And I love that because it rotate. We actually do actively rotate out pictures. Things that they bring home from
back
school
to doing that. I was doing that in the old house, and I forgot to do that in this house.
Yeah, things they bring home from school, even church drawings, things they draw at the house. Especially since your kids love to draw so much, you could definitely use that. So that's one thing I do now that I love because it's very fresh. But I also, what I had in my last house was a reading nook, and I had it so cute. We had like a huge pillow or a chair. I had some clouds in the sky. I can't wait to get that back in the other room because it was the eye level books, like a little kid-sized library, a reading nook, and that I want them to like sit there and have a quiet time. I feel like kids need time to themselves and like a moment. So that's a space that I started to see my eldest son take use of. And also when we had like little tiny kid-sized chairs, I would see them sit in it. So that's something that I think is a great addition to a kid's playroom.
I love that. Oh, it makes me excited to go make some updates to this playroom of ours.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it too. There's so many things. I'll just start. I'm not going to spend a lot because, as you said, you have plans and then it doesn't pan out, and then it's like, well, that was great.
Yeah. Well, this is all just so many cute reminders of the things that we do with our kids all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is great.
Ways to entertain them. I'm going to try some of the techniques you talked about. It's like the thing you said with the stickers.
That one's good. I can tell you some more ideas. I have a lot of things I did not share, maybe for another episode about some of the crafty things, but Pinterest is your friend. And so is that social media page we talked about.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, we hope that this was entertaining and also informative for you guys when it comes to ways to entertain your kids. And we'd love to hear from you about some of the ways that you entertain your kids. So if you have any tips or ideas or just things that you want to hear about in future episodes, leave us a message. You can send us an email at thecradleandall@gmail.com or send us a message on social media. But we'd love to hear from you.
Yep. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. See you then. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss a thing, and leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at @thecradleandall or email us at thecradleandall@gmail.com.